What's going on, everybody? Today's March 30th, 2020. In this video, we're going to be talking about the deaths of two more celebrities who are said to have passed away from COVID-19. And if you haven't caught on recently, celebrities appear to be much more susceptible to this disease than the normal average person. That being said, there's a deep astrological riddle to these two deaths. And I'm going to try to explain this the best I can. As with any astrological riddle, there tends to be several layers of complexity to this. But once I get through it, I think you'll see there's definitely something strong going on here. Before going any further, let me just give a shout out to Bobby's blog, Casey Jones Occult Astrology, which is linked down below in the description right beneath this video. He pointed out, even before these two stories popped up, that we are coming across a significant date in relation to Mercury. And as far as why this came up, it's actually quite simple. Now, as I've been saying on this channel, we're currently going through this coronavirus pandemic, which is literally the new 9/11. And as I said the other day, it's actually making the attacks of 9/11 seem like child's play in regards to government response and how much further this is pushing us forward into the beast system, the New World Order, so to speak. Well, if you measure from the date September 11th, 2001, to March 29th, which was yesterday, the date that we got the story about Joe Diffie passing away, the same day that we learned about the death of Maria Mercader, you'll see that it was 6,774 days since 9/11. Now, why would this number be significant? Well, the orbital period of Mercury is just a shade under 88 days. It actually comes out to about 87.97, rounding it down a couple digits. So what this means is that on yesterday's date, Mercury turned 77 years old since the events of 9/11. 77 Mercurial years. In the language of Gematria, the observation of letters and numbers, you'll find that in the standard reduction method, also called Pythagorean Gematria, where each letter is assigned a single digit, World Trade Center sums to 77. So does September 11th. And on September 11th, you may recall that Flight 77 struck the Pentagon, which is on the 77th meridian. That happened exactly 77 minutes after takeoff. The Pentagon is 77 feet tall. And the plane even hit the building at exactly 777 feet per second. Because, of course, 9/11 was an exercise in numerology, not a real terror attack, as we were told. And these two events are very much coordinated together. First of all, look at how World Trade Center equals 185 in the alphabetic order. This is the cipher where each letter is assigned a number 1 through 26 relative to its position in the alphabet. Well, 185 is also the gematria of Donald John Trump, our current president. And exactly 18.5 years after 9/11, in the year 2020, coronavirus was declared a pandemic by the World Health Organization. See this exactly 18 and a half years later. Well, currently the epicenter of the COVID-19 outbreak in the United States is New York City, the same city in which the World Trade Center collapsed. Well, notice how from 9/11/2001 to 3/11/2020, again, the date coronavirus was declared a pandemic is exactly 222 months. Using the alphabetic order, New York, New York equals 222. Now, when we talk about the date 9/11, we're actually talking about a prime number. 911 is the 156th prime number, and New York, New York equals 156 in reverse. So not to get too sidetracked here, but again, the big part of the riddle is that since September 11th, Mercury turned 77 years old on this date. On your screen right now, I pulled up Stellarium. And what we're looking at here is the date November 11th of last year. And if you look carefully, you'll see the planet Mercury transiting the sun. And this is a pretty rare occurrence. Mercury only transits the sun, I would say, once roughly every 8 or 9 years. And I actually have a list of Mercury transits here. You see they don't happen very often. 2032, 2039, 2049, so about once a decade, maybe a little less. So this date of 11/11, notice how this was exactly 218 months after September 11th. So a Mercury transit exactly 218 months later. When we write out the number 77, it has a Jewish Gematria value of 2,180. In English Gematria, the word death sums to 218. Furthermore, notice how 77 sums to 2020 in English Gematria. Of course, this is the year that we're currently in. If you multiply 7 times 7, you even get a product of 49, which is the Gematria of 77 in reduction. So we see the alignments 218, 2020, a Mercury transit exactly 218 months after 9/11. The story of Joe Diffie passing away has very relevant numerology to this. Here's the Wikipedia page of Joe Diffie. And what I want to point out is that Joe Diffie was featured in a song by Jason Aldean. Now, Jason Aldean was the man who was performing on stage during the Las Vegas shooting, which was the largest terror attack since 9/11. This song was called 1994, in which Jason Aldean talked about Joe Diffie. Look at the date this song was released, March 11th. This is the same date that coronavirus was declared a pandemic by the WHO earlier this month. But what's wild is that if you take the birthday of Jason Aldean, 2/28/77, and measure to the birth date of Joe Diffie, who he talked about in that song, 12/28/58. Notice how these two men are separated by exactly 218 months between their birthdays. As far as Joe Diffie's birthday of December 28th, this date is written 12/28. Notice how Mercury equals 1228 in English Extended Gematria. In the reverse alphabetic order, Mercury sums to 86. Notice how the date written 8/6 is the 218th day of the year. And if you measure from that date, 8/6/2018, the 218th day of 2018, to the date that we got news of the death of Joe Diffie, it was exactly 86 weeks later. It's said that he died of COVID-19. Notice how 19 sums to 86 in the alphabetic order. Using the S exception, Jason Aldean Williams, his real full name, sums to 86. And remember, he was on stage during the Las Vegas shooting. Las Vegas equals 86. Of course, 86, a term for offing someone. Blood sacrifice equals 86. So does the phrase human sacrifice. And what makes this all so especially interesting, remember the Las Vegas shooting was on October 1st of 2017. That was in the city of Paradise, Nevada, which equals 1001 in Jewish Gematria. Well, measuring from that date to the date that Joe Diffie died was a span of 911 days. There's some more numerology here, too. Jason Aldean was 2,248 weeks when Joe Diffie died. 248, the reverse value of human sacrifice. The headline also fed us some 33s. This, of course, because Joe Diffie, which equals 33, died of coronavirus, 33. So I made this post discussing the Mercury ritual involving Joe Diffie. And again, shout out to Bobby who pointed this all out. I wouldn't be able to do this all on my own. This astrology stuff, some of this is kind of over my head, and it's difficult for me to bring it forward to you guys, but I knew there was something to it, and I thought I would link his post. Well, then, literally, immediately after I finished this post, I go back to CNN, and look who they said passed away. CBS journalist Maria Mercader. Wow, Mercader. Just like the planet Mercury. What are the odds of this? I'll tell you, the odds aren't very good, are they? You don't need to be a mathematician to see that. So, before I get into the numerology of Maria Mercader's death, I just want to point out how she aligns with the planet Mercury and its magic square. Here on the left side of your screen, we're looking at the magic square of Mercury. Now, as we pointed out, Mercury has an 88-day orbital period. Notice how this square is 8 by 8. If you multiply 8 times 8, you get 64, meaning there's 64 squares in this magic square. The name Maria Mercader equals 64 in standard reduction. Also notice how her name equals 109. This represents the number 19, which, as we mentioned, equals 86, just like Mercury. If you were to take every single number in this magic square and add it up, we would get a sum of 2080, because 2080 is the 64th triangular number. And look at the name Mercader in Jewish Gematria. 208, a lot like the number 2080. The name Maria Mercader sums to 329 in Jewish Gematria, and we're told that she died on the date March 29th, which is written 3/29. The phrase ritual human sacrifice also yielding the number 329 in the reverse alphabetic order. Maria was born on November 28th, meaning that her death fell exactly 122 days after her birthday. And in Hebrew Gematria, the word for COVID has a Gematria value of 122. Remember the date, January 22nd or 122, is when the movie Pandemic was released on Netflix earlier this year? That was also the same week that Wuhan, China, first went into lockdown. And of course, this week that lockdown has been lifted, and now here we have the death of Maria Mercader. In Gematria, notice how Mercader sums to 67 in the alphabetic order. 67 is the 19th prime number. Remember, it said she died of COVID-19. Her name equals 109. When you write out 19 in Jewish Gematria, it sums to 244. Maria Mercader died 244 days before her next birthday. Notice how in Hebrew Gematria, the word for kill sums to 244. It also sums to 19 in Hebrew reduction. Notice the 64 in reverse. This was the reduction value of Maria Mercader. In English Extended Gematria, kill equals 89. Maria Mercader equals 89. And her death fell on the 89th day of a leap year. Furthermore, notice how she died on the date leaving 277 days in the year. Well, 277 is the 59th prime number, which feeds us directly back into the kill code. Kill equals 59 in Jewish Gematria. And there's more to this. Notice the date numerology of 72. COVID-19 equals 72 in the alphabetic order. This woman was born in the year 65. Pandemic equals 65. So does coronavirus with the S exception. And then they also told her that, or they told us that she's been active for 33 years, since 1987. Corona equals 83. This woman died on a Sunday, summing to 33. And her November 28th birthday, check out how that date leaves 33 days on the calendar. And what I didn't even put in my post is that she was also born on a date with 33 numerology. So kicking this video off, we talked about the significance of 77 in relation to this ritual. Notice how 77 equals 149. This is the same as Mercader in the same method. 149 is also a prime number. That would be the 35th prime number. And Maria died exactly a span of 35 weeks before her birthday. So we pointed out how Joe Diffie was born exactly 218 months after Jason Aldean. Remember, this is the Gematria of 77. Maria Mercader proceeded to die on the 29th of March, which in English Gematria is 2180. The word death summing to 218 in that same cipher. And you know what struck out to me is that in the year 2018, notice how Maria Mercader's primary birth numerology, the date numerology of her birthday was 77, right? She turned 53 years old that year. COVID equals 53, and then she died 16 months and 1 day later, which is the prime number Gematria of COVID. Now, I'm going to wrap this video up with this little tidbit. We're talking about Maria Mercader, but what's really interesting is that there's actually another Wikipedia entry for a woman named Maria Mercader. This was a Spanish actress who died in the year 2011 at the age of 92. 92 is an interesting number. Maria Mercader worked for CBS News, which, interestingly enough, is also 92 years old. But check out the date that this woman died. The actress passed away on January 26th. The date written 126. Well, January 26th is the same date that Kobe Bryant died earlier this year. And make no mistake about it, Kobe's death was a global initiation into a new psychological state prior to the coronavirus pandemic. Think of this as a trauma-based mind control tactic, getting people ready to accept this deadly world that they'd soon be living in. To make this even more interesting, even though she was Spanish, she died in Italy. And Italy is the country that's been ravaged the worst, allegedly, by COVID-19. This journalist named Maria Mercader then later died at the age of 54. Notice how 54 equals 126. The journalist Maria Carla Mercader sums to 126. The actress, her full name, and again, we exclude the foreign characters just like we always do, her name equals 126 in standard reduction. Notice how this actress was born on March 6th of 1918. That date is written 3/6/18. Well, Maria Mercader died on a date with numerology of 36 and 18. If you measure between the deaths of both Maria Mercaders, notice how you get 110 months and 3 days. And I just have to laugh because Kobe Bryant equals 113. Coronavirus pandemic 113 declared a pandemic on the date 11/3. Global epidemic also 113. And Maria Mercader, of course, worked for CBS News, which gives us another 113. Remember, 113 is the number of deception. All of these words on the left side of your screen sum to 113 in either the ordinal or reverse ordinal method. These words include broadcasting, mainstream, green screen, not true, not factual, not honest, dishonest, fiction, disinfo, illusions, politics, bullshit. Can you believe that all of these words equal 113? Well, this might come from the Talmud, where Baba Kama 113a tells its followers that it's okay to lie to a goyim as long as it's in a legal setting, which, especially with all these new laws now, yeah, America's definitely a legal setting in all places, I would say. Whew. All right, I'm a little out of breath about this video because whenever we incorporate astrology like this, it's kind of a handful, right? But I think the riddle is pretty clear here, and the fact that I made this post prior to learning about the death of a woman named Mercader should be all the proof you need that there's something much, much deeper going on here. Is this the Matrix? Is this advanced planning? Yeah, I would say it's a little bit of both, no doubt. But one thing is for absolutely certain. The media is attempting at its... This is the greatest psychological operation of all time. The mainstream media is throwing out all the stops, trying to convince the people of this world that coronavirus is worth destroying the global economy and bringing us to its knees. And this is really the point where it's all going to change. You know, either people stand up now and demand that these mainstream media outlets be taken offline so that they can no longer lie to the public and confuse us, or they're just going to be in control forever, you know. I mean, the cat is out of the bag. They're obviously lying to us. The fact that a disease with like a barely 1% mortality rate, which of course, you know, these stats are all being manipulated anyway, but the fact that this is being used to destroy the world economy should be all the proof you need that there's a massive global conspiracy here. And not one single news outlet is questioning the response. You know, are they saying it's a little bit much? No one's saying that. Yet the people of this world are quickly waking up to what's happening. So you just can't trust anything you hear. And if you do, you're silly. All right, everybody. Thanks to all who popped in on this live chat and contributed. The news is not slowing down, and as long as this pandemic is dominating the news, I will be here, hopefully every day, to deliver the latest on how this media is using this code to continue to lie to us. Peace, love, God bless. Stay strong out there, everyone. See ya.